Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Internet Dads. It's a solo ep today. No Rory joining me, but I am joined by someone who I have a lot of time for. Someone who, I think it's fair to say, took the world by storm quite a few years ago now, and we're going to get into that. But Tekkz, mostly known as also Donovan, but we'll go by your gamer name, I guess you could say today. And that is what you're known for. I'm going to give you a little introduction if you're not familiar with Tekkz's career so far. He's only 24 now, but he burst on the scene at 16 in the FIFA esports scene. Obviously, the game no longer called FIFA, now called EAFC. But back in 2017, I think it would have been. 2018, yeah, 2018. In a scene that I was very involved in and have been involved in for many years as presenter and with my esports team. This lad came out of nowhere and genuinely took the world by storm. Was an incredible talent. Also had a sort of energy about you, in a way. In a, I don't want to do anyone a disservice, but in an industry that's often lacking personality, sometimes you came in as this kid who just didn't seem to give a shit really in terms of like respect for like the established names. You just came and started beating people, made a lot of noise, built a career, which I want to get into. But some might be wondering, why have we got Tekkz on Internet Dads? Well, I think a little bit like the Joe Weller episode we did earlier in the year. Tekkz sort of reached out for a friend and said, he'd love to come on and talk because at a fairly young age of 24, you're quite interested in starting a family.
Yeah, that interest scares me a little bit, by the way. It took the world by storm.
You did, mate.
That's a little bit scary.
Burst onto the scene, Micah Richards style.
But yeah, I really want to start a family. Obviously, I'm quite young, but I wish I was younger because I never really wanted to. I wasn't desperate to have kids, sort of thing. I just was like, yeah, I'll have a kid. But the minute Lydia, my girlfriend, put it on to me, and we've been together now for 5 years, and a few years ago, she was like, yeah, let's have a kid. And I was always like, no. But then I reached a point where she said one time to me, she was like, to be honest, if you think about it, it's not actually that deep. So I sat there and think about it.
And you thought about it for some time, yeah?
And I was like, you know what? She's got a point, and I'm sure it is, which I want to talk to you about.
Yeah. What made you think it's not deep, so to speak?
It's a bit cringe because it's a 2017 saying, but just YOLO, just
YOLO, yeah.
Just go with it, just sort of go with it. And
by the way, if you're going to be a dad, you got to get used to being cringe. It's part of the rules.
I'm cringe already.
We're saying 6, 7 all the time over here. Like we think, yeah, we know.
No, I watched that the other day. I seen you talking about 6, 7. I have no idea what it is.
You know what it is? Oh, no, mate, got to get down with the kids.
So I'm a perfect dad already.
Yeah, I talk about it and still don't know what it is. But so it's interesting. So you had a situation with your missus where she was interested in starting a family. You weren't sure, and now you are, basically.
Yeah.
So and you're saying it's not that deep. You only live once, sort of thing. You sort of saying that you think you wish you'd done it earlier. 24. I mean, just generally by normal standards, I guess, is still fairly young. But you're just ready to crack on.
Yeah, I'm sure it is deep, and it's really, really hard to be a dad in most scenarios. But I think because I'm at a point in my life where I'm stable and I'm ready. I want to take the next chapter, sort of thing. I don't think age is that much of a big deal. It's just I want to start a family, and sort of kick on and have a new aspect to my life. But I've not sort of sat down and thought about, the early mornings and everything that a kid comes with. So
that's where your partner.
I'm going in blind.
Yeah,
but I have full belief that Lydia will be a great mum, which gives me more confidence. Because if I didn't believe she would be a good mum, I'd be like, no chance, because I can barely look after myself.
Well, obviously, it's a two-way street. I mean, a lot of what you said there reminds me of your classic sort of footballer as well. Like footballers, they tend to do really well, in their jobs at a young age. They get some sort of stability, security, and often have families young for that reason. They have also a lifestyle that allows them to be okay, you could go both ways. So if you're playing top level and you're going European competition every week, you're not going to be particularly present. But when you are at home, training a couple hours, not even every day, you can be present in a way that someone doing a 9 to 5 in town can't be. So, and I think there is a lot of synergy with you and your career as an esports player, which we'll get into, because I think for some people watching or listening to this, they'll inherently know what it means to be a pro in an esports environment, but some will probably have no clue. And I think it's a really interesting thing. I'm also really I feel very privileged to have you here, Tekkz, because I know you haven't done like a pod or anything like this before, which baffles me because I know there'll be a lot of people that would love to have you and talk to you about it. So yeah, it's a real honor for us. Going back to Lydia then and your partner. So, what's her setup like? Is it one that will vibe nicely with your quite unusual career?
So Lydia's whole family is a bit of a weird one. It's a bit
Careful
of a
what you say.
Yeah, she's gonna watch this and pick apart everything I said. But nah, she's grew up with a mum with bipolar,
Right. Okay.
like really bad bipolar. So I think when she was 13 or 14, like she ended up distancing from her mum, so she doesn't really have a mum anymore.
Right.
And her dad suffers really bad depression.
Okay.
So like I see it as like myself where I'm sort of looking after her
Yeah.
while she's sort of helping look after me and stuff.
You're a team.
Yeah, so and this is the thing that like sort of made me sort of want to have a kid as well, where she was always like she wants to have a life. No, she wants to give her kid a life that she sort of never had with like a stable family growing up. So that's why I have belief that she will be a good mum. And job-wise, she's just finished uni. She wants to be a paramedic, but then 2 years into uni, she decided that she doesn't want to be a paramedic anymore. So she's on the job search at the moment. But I think obviously my job being at home all the time, and she's sort of just seeing what she wants to do at the moment. But
yeah, I think that's a really interesting context for your guys' situation. I mean, we talk about it a lot, Rory and I. It can go both ways. People's desire to be a parent, it usually is either they want to give a kid like a similar setup to what they had because they feel so fortunate, or like what you mentioned with Lydia, perhaps that they want to offer something to a new life that they felt they missed out on. It's a chance to almost make good on things, and I think that's really important. But what it does mean, and not to try and put you off in any way, but one of the things I always go on about is the help you can get around you. And I know you're really close to your mum, for example, like having whatever your community is, they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? You shouldn't underestimate how big that is. It shouldn't put you off by any means if you don't have that. But obviously it sounds like Lydia's situation is not going to be a lot of grandparent help on that side. But I think having that support system, I know you're in the West Country, you're in Devon, you kind of kept your life based around that way when you could have easily moved here and there, and you probably had offers to do it. Is that a conscious decision to be close to that community and family?
Yeah, so I'm like really close with my mum.
Yeah.
And Lydia's like best friends with my mum as well,
nice.
Which obviously helps a lot. So it's not as if it's just us two raising the baby. Obviously, when I go away for tournaments, my mum lives 10 minutes down the road sort of thing. My sister sort of lives 10 minutes down the road. My dad lives 10 minutes down the road. So we're all sort of close together. So it doesn't scare me as such as if I am away, no one to sort of look after the baby. So I do feel like I have everything sort of in place.
Yeah. And that's a really important point of view, because we talked about when you came on the scene as a young player, and you did have this energy, this infectious kind of like personality, and the whole fact that you called yourself Tekkz as well. Like, do you know what I mean? It was like, it just felt, trying to think the best way to describe it, it's just very welcomed, like personality into the space, much needed actually at the time. And despite all that kind of like confidence that you would play with, and also I remember we used to do loads of interviews, and my job was always to try and get you guys to say like, I'm the best player in the world, and you'd always give me great stuff and great answers on that. But among all that, like your mum was a staple. Your mum would be at every event. We'd all talk to her, and like she would be part of that as well. And it was very clear to us behind the scenes that you had a super close relationship with her. And like, I think that I'm very fortunate with the stuff we do, like hashtag, that my mum and dad have always been involved in it. And again, not always on camera and front and center, but it shows that you're a family oriented person, which is going to be great for the future family.
Yeah, I mean, I only started playing professional FIFA or FC, whatever you want to call it, because my mum.
Yeah.
Like, I would sit there playing all day, every day, and it'd be the summer holidays, and my dad was the one to be like, go outside, get a life. And my mum's like, no, leave him alone, let him play. So that happened, and then my mum got a head injury, and she couldn't sort of go to work, but she used to go to the doctors all the time, and they couldn't put a thing on like what it was causing it. And she would have weeks where she couldn't go to work. So she was struggling to like pay the bills. She'd just split with my dad a few years before. So I played like in the top division on FIFA, and I beat at the time TAS and Gorilla, who are two other pros.
Big names.
I go downstairs, Mum, I beat these guys, and I was buzzing. So she looked into like tournaments online for me.
So at this point, you had no real
I
understanding
have
of that.
no idea what professional esports.
Well, it's very poignant because that was like your kind of arrival completely coordinated with the birth of the scene, because there wasn't a scene. You know, like we've got something we're doing after this with our friend Harry Hesketh, and we signed him as an esports player, I think, at the very start of 2017, before there was even an ecosystem to be part of. There was no events to play in. So like you came in very shortly after that, so you wouldn't know. But your mum, again, we talk about this a lot when we find out about people that have different careers, YouTubers, for example. Danny Aaron's mentioned it. You know, especially in the early days. Now, if someone says to them, I want to be an esports player, I want to be a YouTuber, there's a little bit of understanding, there's an opportunity there. But when you were coming through, when I was coming through in YouTube, you needed parents to support that, and your mum was great.
Yeah, because you look at a lot of the players now, their parents hate it. They're not interested at all. But yeah, my mum entered me into tournaments of like winning £25, £50. And straight away, I'd be like, oh, Mum, here's money. So then I think she borrowed money from her friend to get me like a monitor and all the equipment I needed to like become a pro. And then obviously I qualified, and it all sort of kicked off. And from that moment, obviously it kicked off so much where she had to sort of leave her job to look after me. So ever since, my mum has sort of worked for me, and it still happens to this day. So that's why I'm comfortable with having a kid, because my mum doesn't really have a job except for trying to help me, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a proper team effort. I love it. And when you think about your future family, if you can plan in your brain that far ahead, like what do you see yourself with? Do you see yourself with more than one child? Have you got a preference? I mean, you're not even, you know, you and Lydia aren't even pregnant or anything, but we're just getting way ahead of ourselves. Would you see yourself with a son, a daughter? Do you care? Your big family, small family?
You know what? I don't really care as such. I want more than one kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. I was always sort of scared of having a big family, but Lydia watches a YouTube channel called DVG.
Mm-hmm.
And when she's watching them, I think it's called Dad vs.
Yeah, they're involved with the fellas here.
Really?
Yeah.
I sit there watching. I'm like, you know what? A big family's not bad. So it sort of grew me to that idea. And Lydia wants to adopt them.
Remember, YouTube's not real life, though, yeah?
No, it's true. So, yeah, Lydia wants to adopt and stuff.
Nice,
so, like,
same.
I don't really have a preference. It's just what makes sense in my head.
Yeah. You got to get started first. And listen, it's easy to sit here, and I'm sure you guys will be fine, but it's not always as simple as you want it to be either. You know, both Rory and I have had issues with getting pregnant and things like that. So I think the benefit is you're starting young as well, because that does help. But yeah, I think your family unit is a really strong one from what I know and the stuff I've seen over the years. And so talk to me a bit about your upbringing, because if you hadn't got into FIFA, if you hadn't won those tournaments, if your mum hadn't put, you know, these opportunities in front of you, what do you think you'd be doing now?
I have no idea. And this is what always, it didn't scare me, because growing up, you don't really care when you're like 12, 13. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do in the future? You're sort of just getting on with your days. You go to school or whatever. So I sort of had no idea. I just went to school, came and played sort of FIFA. I didn't have any plans or
no other passions. Like, I know you played football and stuff.
Yeah, my passion is football. Like, I love football. Like, different story. I think I'm smarter than Pep Guardiola. like genuinely, like I love football. Like the tactical side of football. Like I sit there watching tactic videos all the time. So I'd try and do something like that. It would be very hard. But like even throughout my GCSEs, I don't advise this. I didn't revise for one GCSE. It was all just tournaments, like these practice tournaments and stuff. So I got like 2 GCSEs. Like, I didn't try or anything. So every single egg was in the basket of becoming a pro, which my mum supported, luckily. So that was it for me, which... You
never even had time to think of a plan B, because it basically worked very early for you, didn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of your career. I think that what I find very interesting about, let's say, I'll call it FIFA esports for the benefit of this, because it has this real life counterpart in football. So like, not always, but a lot of the people that get into FIFA esports aren't your typical gamers. Like, I mean, people probably think of me as a gamer because I've made a lot of gaming content over the years, but actually I made FIFA content and I made Football Manager content. Like, I definitely enjoy games, but like I've got these people that tell me, "Have you played the new Overwatch?" I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, mate. Like, and I'm not nothing against that either, but I've just never really played, apart from maybe a bit of Call of Duty, a bit of GTA. Never really played all the other games. I've just been a football guy, very much like you. FIFA, Football Manager. Like, I mean, anyone that knows about Football Manager knows you don't have time to play any other games, right? It takes over your life. But you do get people like yourself, and because of the nature of the game, which can be, and as the years go by, it gets more and more tactical. You can play it with a very different sensibility to these sort of fast twitch reaction games that are all about concentration and almost like freakish level of attention. Football has a little bit more about it. Maybe I'm biased in the way I look at it, but you can be a football man rather than a gamer, can't you?
Yeah, like I don't consider myself a gamer at all. Like, I love playing games, but I don't like you. Even Lydia says to me when she first met me, or like I messaged her on Instagram. That's how we sort of met. A really bad story. She always tells me, "I wish I could tell someone we met in a car park or something." I don't know about a car park, but yeah. We met and she's like, I was scared because like these gamers, like we might meet and like you might smell, you might just be a geek or whatever. And she's like, oh no, you're quite normal.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't consider myself a gamer, but yeah, I love playing games. Like Football Manager, like the first time Lydia ever came around my house, I don't know how I got away with this. I played Football Managers for 6 hours that day, but and you know why I got away with it? Because I was sat playing on my desk and she was on my bed. But because I'm sat holding her hand, playing one-handed Football Manager, I got away with it.
Mate, it's meant to be. She's a keeper. I've got a similar story where it's actually quite bad. So Alex and I, we met at university many, many years ago, actually, like 19 years ago or something crazy. We weren't in a relationship at uni. We got into a relationship after uni, but we did have a couple, moments, right? But one of the reasons we never got into a relationship is when we first met up in the first year of uni, I was, weirdly, it's a bit of a massive segue this, but I was really into rugby for a period of time. I was quite a big lad at uni, like much bigger than I am now, to the point where I couldn't really even play football. I was so big and I was eating 6 meals a day. And I was like, honestly, 5 or 6 stone heavier than I am now. But I was pretty decent at rugby. I was getting into it and I was addicted to the Rugby World Cup game on my laptop. And Alex and I had been, getting to know each other, etc., reading between the lines. And I think one time, just like your story, she come into we were neighbours in university halls, and she came into my room. And I mean, it's a bit, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest, a bit of a dickhead. But I basically was just blanking her while I was playing this Rugby World Cup game on the laptop. And I think she was like, all right, I'm just going to sit here and play. I was like, yeah, enjoy yourself, sit there. Like, just not engaging at all. And I think she was like, okay, you're not really looking for a relationship sort of thing. But then years later, when we were together and we were living together in one of the first places we lived in London, Alex and I both quite late night hours, like we'd stay up quite late. But I have so many memories, and she's got this ability that I don't have, Alex. She can sleep through everything, whereas I will get woken up by the slightest noise. She can sleep like a log. And I remember when the last, I can't remember if it was the last GTA. Did that come out like 10 years ago? I think it did, didn't it?
Yeah, longer than that.
So that last GTA, I remember I went and got it, like midnight, whatever, and it came out. But for quite a few months after that, I was playing it. I was working in a job, and I was moonlighting doing my own YouTube channel after work. So the only time I could play games for fun would be like at 1 or 2 a.m. And so I just wouldn't sleep, basically. I would sleep a very small amount of time. And I would sit in our little tiny bedroom in Clapham playing GTA with my headphones on because Alex is asleep next to me in the bed. And I was like, yeah, this is like quite a rare setup. I need to hold on to this because she's allowing me to do this. She's not thinking I'm a weirdo. She's not complaining that she can't sleep. She's just sitting there and letting me play this game. And we had if you're wondering what I wasn't doing in a lounge or whatever, we had we shared with another couple, so I couldn't really go and sit and play till 2, 3 a.m. But yeah, I think that you have an unusual job,
allow you for a better setup for a kid. Like obviously, me as a gamer, my sleeping pattern's a bit all over the place.
True,
so, like,
true.
Throughout the night, like I know they say you have to sort of schedule who wakes up, who does what at what time. It's not like we both got a 9 to 5 and we're doing it sort of that. It's like I'll be up most of the day, like most of the night.
Yeah.
Maybe she's around the day. I don't know, but you know what I mean?
No, it's definitely, like, I think it's a lot of the guys we have on here have a similar setup, and it's definitely helpful, I would agree. Sometimes me and Alex say to each other, like, and I know this sounds really ignorant and unrelatable, but because Alex is similar to Lydia, actually, Alex works with me and she's always worked with me for many years, so we are self-employed. I often think to myself, like, I don't know how. I live in a commuter town, right? So it's like 20 minutes from my train station to London, Liverpool Street, right, to get into London. So a lot of the people who live in my town are guys that work in the city and they do that commute every day. They're at the train station at 7, 8 a.m. and they're back home. But they're dads, right? And it's the same for mums too. I'm like, how do they physically fit it in? Like, I mean, you can't. If you're both working, mum and dads, you've got to have some sort of help, or you've got to have a job that's flexible, because you're going to get up. You've got to get the kids to school. My oldest is at school now, so I understand the scheduling, and also they finish school at 3. Whose job finishes at 3? So like, if you have a normal 9 to 5, even if you have some help to get everyone dropped off and get everything done, like, it's so hard to see your kids.
Yeah, and especially I think a lot of people hate sending your kid to like having a babysitter or sending it.
Yeah,
like, a lot of people don't like doing that because they don't trust people, and I think I'd be one of them where I don't want to trust anyone else with my kid. Or
it's tough.
like, you hear stories, or not even stories. It's just not a scenario you want to be in, and I'm a proper overthinker.
Yeah.
So I think when I'm not with my kid and they're in someone else's hands, it will like scare me a lot. Which
there is that. That's definitely a thing. I think for us the bigger problem was almost accepting, like, when we both our kids started nursery at 1, and originally our eldest, we only had him in, I think, 2 days a week, and it took us a long time to accept that we needed more time. Like, we needed more, even with our setup, we needed more help just to have any kind of life. And Alex has really, really struggled with it because she felt like she was failing in some way. You judge yourself by very high standards. You're like, no, I should be able to do it. But you've also got to protect yourself. You've got to protect your mental health. You've got to make sure you're in the best position to parent well when you are parenting, and not always tired and always the worst version of yourself. So there is that. My biggest fear of like what you're talking about, and I don't mean this as like any disrespect to anyone that works in childcare or school or whatever, but like, there's just no way they can care about your kid to the same level you do when they're looking after 10 of them. Like, think about it. This morning, my youngest little 1.5-year-old had a nasty fall. He was standing on my other boy's little step that he gets up to wash his hands in, and he stacked it off of it, banged his head. It's horrible. I didn't see it. I got in there, and he's like, you think, oh my, he's fine, but you panic, right? Like, there's just no way if that happens on someone else's watch, they care in the same way as I do. They're gonna, I'm sure, do their best and look after them, but they've also got other kids to get back to.
You can't even guarantee that someone's gonna do their best.
Well, you can't, really, can you?
People that go into a job and like just trying, you're just doing your job, and you don't really care that much, and you're looking at the time and like, oh, when does my day end, sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. So, we'd probably be the same if we were in those jobs. Do you know what I mean? You just can't care. And I think another one of the unkept or the best kept secrets, or maybe not, like the untalked about elements of parenthood, right? I'm one of 3, right? So I grew up 3 brothers, and we have all got good relationships, and we never really had any clashes or anything. We're a very stable upbringing. But, these things like middle child syndrome, which I was the middle one, or the youngest, this idea of them being spoiled, or whatever, the oldest getting everything first, whatever, these things exist for a reason, because it's not because anyone's fault. It's, as a parent, it's very hard to avoid those patterns. What people don't talk about is every kid you get, of course, you love them the same, right? So if I have one kid, I can't imagine. Me and Alex joked the other day because we'd remembered before we had a kid, we remember talking about our dog, Joey, who's nearly 10, by the way, about to turn 10 any day now. We remember saying to each other, we can't imagine loving a child as much as we love our dog. We actually said that. And then the child comes along and you're like, Joey, get in the garden. But then it keeps happening in the same way. You have one child and you're like, I can't imagine loving another being like this. And the second one comes and you do love them the same. But what no one talks about is you can't treat them the same. Like, that first child, if you only have one, has your undivided attention. The second one, you do divide. You don't divide your love, but your time and energy cannot be the same. So every child you have gets less of you.
See, growing up, my sister was always a bit jealous of my relationship with my dad.
Right.
Because my dad, obviously, and I'm a bit scared about this as well. Like, when you have your kid, I want a boy because I can take it to football. I can do this and do that.
You can do that with girls now. Like, you can always do that with girls, but it's growing like that.
Yeah, of course. Like, my bad.
No, it's fine. It's a normal reaction.
You know what I mean? And then with a girl, I'm thinking, what if I struggle to sort of live in their sort of world, and like I struggle to see myself. Do you know what makes sense?
No, I feel exactly the same. I didn't grow up with a sister either. I had no female, apart from my mum. I went to boys' schools as well. I had no female real understanding.
So growing up, my dad would take me to football training 2 times a week, football on the weekend. We watched football together.
Yeah.
And then my sister would see it and be like, but I don't really spend much time doing other things with just my dad. So I think that can always be difficult as well.
No, definitely. And it's something Alex and I are talking about at the moment as to whether we try and have a third child, because I don't want a third child unless it's a girl. And I know that's a ridiculous thing to say, but I feel very happy with 2 boys. I'm very lucky. But a girl, I think, would complete the family. A girl would help it selfishly make me a better person. I think to have that female energy. And this is how my brain works. Like a little bit different to what you were saying. When I think of a girl, I don't think, oh, I can't take her to football. I think of, if she's into football, her chances of being a professional are instantly higher, just because there's less girls that do that. Like there's just less. So, and that's not to say I would make her play football. Like, it'd be up to her if she did it. But I'm like excited by the concept of being in women's sports. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever other thing they want to do. But equally, I'm very aware of the fact that a third child is going to massively stretch us.
I was saying to Lydia the other day, I was like, look, if we have a kid now, we can teach them to be an NFL kicker. Like no one in the world like tries to get their kid to be an NFL kicker. It's not a thing.
No.
So from minute one, if you just get them kicking field goals, the minimum like NFL contract, I think it's like 2 million.
Yeah.
Straight away. Oh yes.
Yeah, because footballers often, like Harry Kane wants to do it, doesn't he? A lot of footballers go and try and become kickers afterwards. Yeah, no one wants to do that because it's quite a not diverse job, is it? Just kick, run off, kick. Yeah. Can't be a lot of fun practicing it at 5 years old.
No, of course, but
yeah, so I like your strategy. I like your strategy.
Just keep going. Yeah, we have new kid. Yep, 6th kid. Hopefully this one's a professional.
Yeah. What would you do if you have a child? Because obviously your whole career didn't exist when you were 5. Like, doesn't matter what your parents thought. They couldn't have gone, oh, you're going to be an esport. It wasn't a word. It is now. It's an industry that is not only massive, but is also changing at an alarming rate. You know, like, I don't think if you had a child in the next few years, being an esports pro in 15, 16 years is not what you do. It's going to be like some sort of matrixy, you're plugged in, you're Ready Player One type stuff. Do you have a view on that? If your child wanted to follow in your footsteps, be Tekkz Jr., would you be proud of that? Would you rather than do something else?
Once again, I don't really mind. Growing up, my mum was really laid back. Obviously, I was saying that she didn't really mind what I did, as long as I was sort of happy and wasn't doing something dumb in her eyes and not trying to be anything, and just sort of, And people around me, like Lydia still doesn't really know what she wants to do. My mum is 50 and doesn't know what she wants to do. So I'm not too bothered, and I don't think it's that big of a deal when you have a kid not doing what you sort of want to do. There's always different things you can do. There's so many jobs that you can do in the world today as well, where you can get by, make money, like have a good life, be happy. And that's all, I think, as a dad and as a parent, all you really want are your kids to be happy. So I'm not too bothered. I'm like, you need these grades and these grades to be this job. Because me, I've got no grades.
Both of us are proof of that. Do you think that when your mum encouraged you to do the competitions for 20 quid, 50 quid here and there, she was visioning there's a career potential here, or she was just trying to give you a chance to play to your strengths and put you in a position where you can, she clearly saw a talent in you, she wanted to foster it?
I think at the start she wouldn't have knew, but we sat down and watched I think it was the FIFA 17 World Championship. Yeah. And the winner was getting 200.
Was that the one in New York?
Maybe the one Gorilla.
Okay, no, that was London. Yeah, the year after. Yeah.
So we sat there and we see the amount of money that can be won, and she knows I've beat these players before. And she has like full belief in me. She was like, if my child's got a sort of dream and like an aspiration, she's gonna push it. So the Wi-Fi in Devon is rubbish. Rubbish.
Still,
it's a little bit better now, but like I was in the sticks in the middle of nowhere. Wi-Fi was rubbish. Me and my sister always used to argue over who got the Wi-Fi. Like when I'm playing these tournaments, mum would be like, "Get off Netflix," because my game would just lag. Yeah. So when I finished school, like my mum's whole family's from like West Midlands, like Wolverhampton sort of area. So when I finished school, she's like, "That's it, we're moving house." And
for the Wi-Fi.
It's a massive reason. Yeah, not the only reason. She sort of wanted to be back with her family as well. But she was looking for any sort of excuse to be like, yeah, go back and live with her family. So I think the biggest reason was, we're going to move house. for Wi-Fi so you can compete and like stop complaining about lag and
You think that was
disconnects.
a big help in your career?
Yeah, and I think if she didn't do that, I wouldn't. I could
Wow.
be a pro still, but I don't think I'd be at the. I don't think I would have done it so quickly,
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of thing, because you qualified, you needed a certain amount of wins. I'd disconnect twice a week.
Oh, the people don't realise.
Like,
Like,
it's massive.
if you have one that we used to slog it out in the hashtag esports HQ, I'd play along with the boys, obviously not getting the same amount of wins as they would, but you would have a certain amount of time to play a lot of games on a weekend, and you had to basically be perfect or very close to perfect. And as much as that's hard in itself, the most soul destroying thing would be if some sort of internet issue happened and you lost the game on a disconnect that wasn't your fault. And there was certain aspects of the game sometimes that meant, you couldn't fix that and it was out of your hands, but it could literally define your career, that little one moment.
The first tournament I went to, if I had one more loss, I wouldn't have made the tournament.
Wow.
And
At Barcelona?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made the tournament. And if I was living in Devon still at that time, I probably would have had a disconnect that month.
Shout out to your mum,
so
mate.
my mum, so I think she maybe at the start didn't fully grasp it, but after a few months, she's like, "Yo, this is a real thing," and like she fully pushed for it. Like
Amazing.
she moved house for it. So
what brought you back to Devon? The Wi-Fi improved?
Oh, I just hate Wolverhampton.
Who was the footballer that said that? The footballer that went to Wolverhampton.
Madueke. Yeah. But no, to be fair, I had so obviously I moved when I was 16, and straight away it sort of blew up in the esports world. And I didn't go to like no education in Wolverhampton. I went for 3 months, but I didn't really make any friends at college. I'd go and I'd leave straight away. So you got to think, I just moved to Wolverhampton. I don't know anyone here. I was so lonely with no friends or nothing around me other than just my mum. So like, I had big mental health problems at that time when I was winning all my tournaments because I was so lonely. So I always says the minute I can move back to where my friends are in the area I know, like around like my dad, my sister, and my mates, like I'm gonna move straight away.
There's a sacrifice, even though you moved for family and internet and all these things, and it helped you in your career. It affected you personally. And I want to get into your psyche at that point in your life, because obviously we'll get into some of the amazing things you've done since with your career, like signing for huge esports organisations like Fnatic and Man City, and incredible stuff, winning the ePremier League with the team that you support. Like things like this is incredible. But go back to 16 years old. You have burst on the scene. You've landed in Barcelona. You've captured everyone's attention. You signed with the F2 really shortly after that. Like huge partnership in the YouTube world. Like I'm sure that was an incredible moment for you. What's life like post winning, coming back to your life? You know, what are your mates saying to you? What are you thinking in your brain? Like what's just happened?
It was really weird because you go from just going to college like every day to, I think, the week after, literally 2 days after Barcelona, I flew to Amsterdam to join to have contract talks with Ajax. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I went. We'll find out. Don't sue me. I was there for a week, and then I flew to London to talk to Fnatic, Roma Fnatic at the time.
Yeah, of course.
So it was all crazy because like you go from just obviously the college to then I'm 16, like I have massive social anxiety. I'm scared of anything anyway. So
like most 16-year-olds, by the way.
I'm going into meetings like with presentations. Oh, we should sign you because this and this and this.
And your main advisor at this point is your mum, right? She's the one helping you. Yeah.
Just my mum. Like I had nothing else. Just my mum.
I remember that. I know we spoke a little bit at that time, and I remember that I was actually really not happy with what happened in Barcelona because it was like this. It was like a land grab. Like you came on the scene. Bear in mind, I'm presenting the show, right? So we have notes. We know who's coming in. Like we really didn't know much about you. We knew you were a young kid that was supposed to be good, but again, the scene was in such new beginnings that we didn't know much about anyone. To be honest, it's like the second or third event or whatever it was. So you burst on the scene, you're flying. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" It wasn't just that you were good and winning; it was that you played a certain way, and you had this image. It's very, very like it was like, I don't know how you describe it, like. It's almost like the chosen one. Like, kids come along, it's everything you want. If you're an esports org, which I was running at the time as well, you're like, yeah, clearly every team wants to sign this kid, but the scene was blowing up. There's a lot of money being invested. It was going to be expensive. But what I didn't like was, I actually remember a physical land grab. Like you won a match or whatever, and there's like people coming on the stage, like trying to grab you. There's various teams who I won't name, but like literally being quite physical almost, and like I want to talk, almost cornering you. And I was just like, guys, can everyone just calm down? He's a 16-year-old. He's not going to sign on a piece of paper like 10 minutes after he's won the game. Let's just let him enjoy the moment.
You know, I didn't find out about this until like months and months after.
Did you not?
Until I got told. I didn't know. I got told, oh yeah, these people were fighting for this.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
And like
grown men literally like trying to get to you. I was like,
yeah, I had no idea until after. So like, and for me, that's all I sort of knew in the esports world. So
Yeah.
of course it was a big thing, and I was scared about everything going forward, but I didn't know anything else. So it was like, oh, this is my sort of life now. I need to get used to it real quick. So
but you know how like I can't remember the lad, but there was a lad. He might have been a footballer. Some young sportsman, 16. He'd done something for his country, I think. And there's a clip on social media because he goes back to his school, and they all lined the corridors like clapping him in. I imagine that wasn't what it was like for you because esports just wasn't mainstream, right? If FIFA esports still isn't really mainstream in the way that some esports are, but like. It wouldn't have made waves, I guess, in your local community in the same way.
Nah, I wish it was. Yeah. That video is the coolest thing ever.
Cool,
you walk in, your shoulders up like.
But you know what? I would guess. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I would guess probably at that point in time, your like school, for example, your college wouldn't have even approved of it. I don't think they'd have even.
So
it wouldn't have been like, well done, you're doing the school proud. They'd have been like, what do you mean you're going to Barcelona?
Yeah, so I was doing like a football coaching course in college, which I picked because I just wanted to be a pro. So I wanted to do something that was fun at college. Once again, I do not recommend.
Yeah.
So I went, and the whole time in college, I'd just be on my phone on like the FIFA companion app looking for my team for the weekend league to help qualify. And it got to a point where my teacher like ended up taking my phone from me at the start of the lessons and put it in a basket, and it was only like I could only get it back after the class was over. So that sort of happened.
There wasn't support. It wasn't. You weren't seen as an athlete. I mean, athlete is a loaded word because people don't like when people use the word athlete for esports player because you're not. It is physically demanding on your brain, and people don't understand. I don't want to sound like condescending here, but the level of stress your brain is going through. Like, I'm pretty confident if they put sensors on your brain when you were playing like one of these games, whether it's online or in person, like you are going through some serious like a fight or flight reactions in your brain. There's performance enhancers in esports. People take things like Adderall because you have to have so much attention, and a second's lapse can cost you hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, like, I don't think esports it's not physically demanding.
No.
But like it wears you down and tires you so much mentally. Like after a tournament, I'm done for the next 2 days. Like I was just lying in bed. So yeah, I think like mental demands is athlete level, and depending on what sport, you could say more. I think because it's 1v1 as well.
Yeah. I think more than darts.
Yeah,
no disrespect to dart. I love darts.
I love darts.
Yeah, and Luke Littler. I'm sure he's a fan of yours, by the way. He must be. Luke Littler.
Yeah, no, we spoke a little bit.
He loves his FIFA.
But even it's 1v1. It's a 1v1 esport like FIFA.
Yeah.
So that it's stressful because it's just you versus someone else. Where in like team sports, it's like you can make a mistake, but at the end of the day, it's your sort of team sort of thing.
Well, that was always the big like, not challenge, but the thing that doesn't quite work with it. If you're trying to, in my opinion, build football esports to the best they can be, is that everyone loves football because it's a team sport, and yet the number one esport in it is solo. And that's why a lot of us have always felt like entertainment-wise, the best is this mode called Pro Clubs, and you get a team of 4 or 5, and you're playing on a team, and you start to lean into the same things that make us love football. Because you look at things like Call of Duty and all these team-based games that are a better spectacle, and it would share the load mentally. Because the other thing, yes, you're not running around, but the difference between esport, for example, is you might be there for 8 hours, and in that 8 hours, you might play like 10 games in a Swiss format or whatever. Like a footballer, you have your 90 minutes. You don't do anything for another. You work, of course, but you don't put your brain back in that stress environment for another 4 or 5 days or a week. You're doing it in, out, constant. You've got to win, got to win. And
I think this is why there's a lot of mental health problems in esports as well, because you play in your bedroom. Like a lot of it, like you qualify, you play in your bedroom the whole time, and there's no switch off because a footballer will go to training, come back from training, and it's like you can sort of switch off.
Yeah.
But I go to sleep in my bedroom. I compete in my bedroom. You can't really get out the sort of environment.
So have you ever created? I know you've represented teams and things, and they'll put you in certain spaces. But have you ever created a separate space for yourself, like a workspace that you prefer to separate it from your bedroom? Like
I have now.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, like my setup's in my garage, so
right.
it's not in my bedroom. But I was never able to growing up, so it was all sort of in my bedroom.
Yeah.
But then when I've signed for teams, they've had HQ, so I go play the qualifiers and big tournaments at HQ, so it gets you in a competing sort of mindset. Like I always loved the aspect of flying to a country to compete because it gets you in a mode of like, sort of go time sort of thing.
Proper athlete. And then, I mean, I won't go in. We don't need to talk about numbers here, but it's fair to say, like, when you start signing for these teams, not just you, all the guys that are getting signed up at this point, big contracts with big teams, like it's even 2018 time. It's money that people probably now still won't understand that you can get from playing FIFA. It's proper life-changing contracts, well earned, by the way, because you're doing something that very few people can do, and you're doing it on a huge pressure environment. But what's that like when you start signing these deals and you're thinking, okay, I've got a career here if I don't mess this up, but I'm also now representing something bigger than me. I'm representing either a huge esports org or a huge brand or a huge football team.
It's scary, to be honest, because you try. I always wanted to live up to the expectation. Like when I joined F2, it's like you don't want to go and sort of let them down. So there's huge pressure on you when you're competing because you don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So that
come with fan bases as well, like a lot of these orgs and clubs. And, you know, there's some are more into the esports element of the business than others, but you feel like you're representing a lot of people as well.
Yeah, and then obviously there's huge money on the line.
Yeah.
And then you win money, and it's like a lot of the time you win money, it's like you can lose your head so easy at like a young age. Luckily for me, obviously I was so close to my mum, and she sort of did all my finances and everything. So I was always like, I don't want to buy this because my mum's gonna tell me off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky in that aspect, but yeah, it's scary, like proper scary.
When you're in that environment, you're playing like a massive game. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Do you enjoy it? Like, do you enjoy playing the game in that moment?
Not so much anymore.
Mm.
When you're younger, you don't really understand what money is. You don't understand the magnitude of the game you're playing and everything that sort of comes with it. You're sort of just playing for playing's sake. And
Yeah.
it's just all you sort of know. But now when I play, it's like, oh, if I win this game, that's an extra 20 grand. If I win this game, and it scares you because you're thinking, oh, I need to sort of set myself up and
you lose
like that.
Probably lose a bit of the fun out of it. But I can imagine that early. I can only speak from. I'm not done anything at the level you've done in terms of sport or anything, but when I think about like even my career or like YouTube, when you think back to the good old days, or in any career, I think to a degree, are the ones when you weren't successful. Do you know what I mean? The ones when you were grinding and no one believed in you and you had this chip on your shoulder and you're like, oh, I'm going to prove them wrong. You don't fear it at the time. At the time, you think, oh my God, I wish I was just successful. But when you are successful, you look back and you think, yeah, but it's not the same now. Because when you know what I mean? The passion is not the same as when you were playing in your bedroom going, I just beat Gorilla, I can't believe it.
Yeah, so growing up, it was way more fun. Like, I obviously when I'm 13, 14, 15, I prefer playing to when I play now.
Yeah.
And then obviously you go to the tournaments and it's like it's new, it's fresh, and you love it so much. And for me, obviously, when I first started, it was like win, semi-final, win sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was all enjoyable, and then COVID hit, and COVID killed me. Like it killed me, not mentally. Like my mental health and COVID went up. Like I felt way happier because it all came to a sort of stop, and you could breathe, and it gave you time just to like relax and have time to yourself. But competing, it killed me because there was online tournaments. It doesn't feel the same. You're just playing in your bedroom compared to playing at a tournament. And then after COVID, it was never the same. It just sucked the enjoyment out for me.
I think a lot of things were never the same for people after COVID,
and
regardless of your career.
Like, and I don't want to go deep, but in COVID, like my uncle died that I was really close to. Right. So when I was before that, I competed, and it's like, yeah, I want to win, and I'll do everything to win. But after that, it sort of hit me, and it made me care about things way less.
Yeah.
So now when I'm losing in a game, I'm like 2-0 down. It's like, oh, so what? I just go home, and it sort of softened me up a little bit to make me care about other things way more than just competing.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's normal, mate. And I think also like that's not, even though your younger self that was like on a mission to win and prove yourself would look at you caring less about losing as some sort of failure. As a human being, it's called maturity. It's called context and understanding. It isn't the be all and end all. Do you know what I mean? Life is about bigger things, about family, and when you lose people, particularly, it's the most biggest wake up call you can have, and it starts to allow you to understand what really matters. And parenthood's the same, by the way. Parenthood's exactly the same, because you have kids, and we talk about it all the time. Rory sort of says his work ethic increased when he had children, because he constantly says that he didn't have a great work ethic before, and it gave him one because he had to step up. I never struggled with work ethic. If anything, I was too hard working in many ways. I'm not hard working now, but I'm smarter working because I have something else I want to do, something else other people want to spend time with. I had to create them. I had to create them because they didn't exist in the world until I created them. And I don't mean that in anything against my family or my friends, who obviously I adore, but I didn't have that urge to socialize, all those sorts of things, because I was on a mission. But when my mission changed about being a family, now I do want to do it. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I personally think I needed to have children to complete my personality, if you like, to round myself off. I don't know if that chimes with you at all.
Yeah, I think, and this is what scares me, because I always tell like people, I want to have a sort of kid, and it's like, well, say goodbye to being a pro FIFA player then, because they take up all your time and like your priorities change. But I'm a bit with Rory on this one, where like I think if I was to have a kid, I think I know I can only play these hours in this day. In those hours, I feel like it's gonna motivate me to do the best I can possibly do, and I think it could have a positive impact.
It could do,
and I think the opposite of like, okay, you're gonna lose all your time, your priorities are gonna change.
Yeah,
I think a bit of Rory. This is what I'm hoping for, because I don't want to have a kid and then not win a game ever again, sort of. But I think it'll make me more passionate and like want to do better. To give the kid a better life. Yeah,
and you're also a content creator as well, and it might give you. Do you know what I mean? There's other elements to your job. It's not, you are a bit insulated from now, aren't you? From just having to win. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can also play and entertain, and you've got a brand that is very well known. I wanted to ask you something about that, actually, because you've got I think it's fair to say, a very big game coming up, right? So for people that don't know about esports or FIFA esports, if Tekkz is Rocky, there's a lad who would be Ivan Drago. Right, I don't know if you get that reference or not, but Rocky, the boxing film.
Yeah, I know that guy.
He's like, number one, like the legend, and then this Russian guy comes on the scene, Ivan Drago. Now, Anders isn't Russian, but it's a guy called Anders who, in many ways, was like I won't say the opposite of you, but he came on the scene as this almost like robot built to win FIFA games. Right, very different personality to you, not as outgoing or necessarily as the sort of personality that you want to, go to the pub with, but no disrespect, but an absolute like machine for winning FIFA games to quite a scary level, right? Took the world by storm himself, big contracts, etc. Been around for quite a while now. You've never played him. And this is mad. And again, I won't get too insular on FIFA stuff because you might not know about it, but like you have these weekend leagues, you got to go 40-0, 30-0, whatever. Anders had some record, didn't he? What did he get to? Like
500 or 500 and something.
And when you get into that, you're playing other pros, and he just did not lose for like years, right? So if you're talking about a game, I remember back to the early hashtag days, and I would get really anxious about games like the Palmer's game and stuff, because you think, and I don't believe this at all now, but at the time you think, if I lose this game, like it's going to affect my career in some way, like hashtag's going to be looked at differently, we'll never be able to recover, which obviously isn't true. In fact, sometimes it's good to take a step back and lose a game. If you can really see the bigger picture, it can help you. But how do you feel about this game? Because again, you're not this 16-year-old kid anymore who's like needs to prove himself, but you've got to be thinking it's quite an important one.
Yeah, it's a massive one. Obviously, growing up, obviously, when I first came onto the scene, Gorilla was the main guy.
Yeah.
And he was always sort of a bit angry at me, sort of taking his sort of shine a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it was me and Desari, and they were massive games. So this Anders game, I see him like winning all these games, and everyone's like, "Oh, Anders is the sort of best." And when it first started, I'm like, "No, I'm the best," sort of thing. And it rattled me. Not rattled me, but I was a bit.
It might motivate you.
Yeah, I was a bit competitive to be like, "No, like I'm sort of better." So if we had played, what FC is it now? Like FIFA 26. If we had played on FIFA 21, FIFA 22, like for the first time, that game would have meant the world to me. Like, I would have cared so much. But the longer it's gone on, the longer it hasn't happened, the longer I've became okay and accepted that, like Anders is probably the best. But for this game coming up, I'm so motivated. I think I've got nothing to lose in this sort of.
You think he's expected to win, yeah?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm the massive underdog. I'm meant to lose 5-6-0, so I've sort of got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Because if I win that game, it's always like, oh, Tekkz for Anders, and it is Anders at the moment. But if I win that one game, everyone's opinion will change.
Yeah.
Even if he won the tournament, if I beat him, I beat you, sort of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Do you think he's anxious about the game?
more anxious than me,
Mm.
for sure, because he's meant to be the best.
I can't believe he's never played. It's crazy.
Like,
And I'm fascinated by it because obviously, I mean, we could easily just do a multiple hour FIFA chat because there's so much in your career I'd like to talk about. But I'm really interested in this for this pod, in like the psychology of it and like understanding an athlete's mindset. You know, not particularly because you came on the scene so young, and I'm not saying my kids are going to be athletes or anything, but I'm really interested to know what it was like for you, because when I think about whether I'd like my kids to be, just like you said, my first thing is as long as they're happy. Like, genuinely do not care. I want them to be happy. I want to take interest in what they're interested in. But there is a chance, like my brother-in-law is a professional athlete in the UFC, like they have these genes, like, you know, I don't have those genes, but I am of a certain mindset that I think I could help a child become an athlete. I know what it takes. The main thing I think about, the main thing I am worried about is that whole, but what do you lose? You know, if you dedicate so much of your youth to a sport, it doesn't have to be a sport, it could be something else. What do you lose? What do you take away from them by having them do that? And like, for me, it's only going to happen if my kids show a natural predilection where they're like, Dad, I want to be outside kicking the ball against the wall because I love football. And then I'll, of course, foster that. But I'm not going to tell them to go outside and do that. And that might be why they don't make it. But I'm fascinated by, like, do you feel, do you have any regrets? Like, do you look back on that period of your life and think, I really missed out on X, Y, or Z? Or are you really happy with how everything went?
Once again, it's quite a boring answer because growing up, I never really had like much friends. I was the kid in school. Like, I was okay with everyone, but I didn't really have a best mate. I didn't have sort of friends. I had no want to sort of go out and socialize and live a normal like teenage like young life. I never had any interest in sort of that. I always just sat in the corner, want to go home and sort of play. And my best mates were like my online friends.
Yeah.
So I don't have any regrets in sort of time looking back of like, oh, I wish I did that and that. But when I was competing, sometimes it's tricky to see not your friends, but people you know and like semi your friends, just people you're like okay with, like going out and they're posting online or look at
it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy,
and
you
it's
don't see
like it. you get jealous. Like I remember there was one like New Year's party and I don't have much friends, so I'm just sat with my family and my friends are all at this party and I'm like, is it really worth it? I could be like enjoying myself with my friends. So, and then like that sort, and you're like, yeah, I'm in. At the time, I was like, obviously, I was talking about my mental health problems. It's like I'm stuck at home, I'm feeling all this, and my friends look like they're enjoying themselves. So it's, for me, looking back when I was growing up, no, but in the times, sometimes I was like, yeah, like this is difficult.
Yeah, you weren't always super happy with the situation, but you come through it. And this is why I think is a big misnomer about gaming. And any parents listening to this that maybe have an opinion on it, I would urge them to consider it properly, because it's not about whether your kids like games or whether they play a lot of games. It's about their personality type, and it's about what games they're playing, and it's about what else they're doing. So I played a lot of computer games growing up, right? And I also watched a lot of TV growing up, right? But I didn't watch awful TV. I took interest in films. You know, I studied it. I'm almost like you, not to the level you played at, but I did make a career from playing games. Like I made a career out of FIFA and Football Manager, making content. Everything I have and do now is because I played a lot of those games. Now, not everyone gets to do that, and I'm not sitting here saying to a parent, oh yeah, let your kid play computer games because they're going to get a career out of it. But it can happen. But I think you've got to have a balanced life where possible. You get out, and I obviously always played sport as well, and I was outgoing, and I grew up doing things like stand-up comedy. So I had a really nice balance of like life. But I think what you said is really important, because this idea that games, there's this misnomer, I think, that like if you play loads of games, you might not be sociable. Like the game has caused you to be like that, when actually you might be inherently a bit of an introvert genetically. It might just be your personality. And gaming is a great way for you to find your place in the world.
Gaming's helped me so much, especially in my scenario. Like growing up, I was so socially anxious. Like, I'm sure, like in the first tour in Barcelona, my shoulders are up. Like, I'm nervous. Like, I'm sort of scared of going into a room. And like, I remember after I went into like a press conference looking room. The scariest time of my life. I was more scared of that than the actual playing at that stage.
Yeah,
because I wasn't there for a press conference sort of thing.
No. But gaming hadn't made you like
that. Not
No.
at all. But now, because of all these scenarios I've been put into in like meetings I had to do, and just like, I don't know, like different shoots you have to do. You meet new people.
Yeah.
Like, I met new people. I learned how to small talk to people. I learned how to do all these things that I didn't know beforehand, just because of how I was. So it's made me, I don't know, more socially enabled. It's made me like be more talkative, like
100%.
be more comfortable within myself.
And you're sitting here having a long chat on a podcast, you know, cameras on you, like it's nothing, like, and you've never done anything like this before, really. So would you be like this now if you never found computer games? Maybe not. Do you know what I mean? So I think not everyone's different, right? But they don't have to be looked at as this, like, I'm guilty of it myself. I see my nephews who are like 12, 13 years old, and I go around their houses and they're on their headsets playing games with their mates. And my first response is, I wish they, you know, come and talk to me or whatever. But 13-year-old kids, I wasn't going talking to my uncles when I was that age.
Gaming a lot of the time is someone's like happy place. Like, I'll go to school. I hated school.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk to anyone at school. But the minute I'm on my headset playing games with my online friends that think the same as me, are like me, it's like, that's your people. And you're like, okay, I'm not the only person in the world that wants to do this, and this is all I'm interested in. There's other people like you. So it helps. Do you know, that makes sense?
No, of course. I think of the relationships that I've had, like when in the hashtag esports days, there was times when 4 or 5 lads were living in my house with me, and I would never have met them if they had shown themselves as talented esports players, and I'd hired them to play for my team. And now I've really good friendships with these guys. You know, people that have worked for the club, people that represented the club, people I've met along the way. Esports or gaming is what's allowed that to happen. So I never look down on it. I don't do it much myself. I don't have time anymore. And because I wasn't a natural gamer in the sense that I want to play any kind of game, the only one I really do play still now is Football Manager, because you know, I don't know you do because I see you on the Steam thing, but like, it is just that game and it's great. But listen, I sort of play that in real life, and with my football team, I give a lot of credit for my love of football to the game. This is the other thing I think is really interesting about gaming, and again, I'd urge parents to consider the idea of me. People looking at me on the outside probably think of me as this guy who's inherently loved football and therefore loved football games. It's the other way around. I didn't like football. Really? I didn't grow up liking football. I didn't play football until I was 13, right? My older brother played football from 4 onwards. I actually disliked it because I wanted to be different to my brother. I wanted to be my own guy. I was into Warhammer. I was doing, you know, like, I was a geek. Like, I was like, gamer. That is gamer. I hadn't actually played the games, to be fair. I like painting them. But I used to make radio shows on a little cassette recorder, like just do practice on my own. I used to draw a lot. I used to love drawing. So I wasn't a football kid at all. And I started playing Football Manager and FIFA with my brother. It was a thing we did to bond about 11, 12. That was what got me into football. I started being the kid at school. I'm sure you were the same. You'd have your notepad out in lessons and be working out what team you're going to play when you get back to Football Manager and who you're going to sub on, who you're going to buy. Yeah. And that made me want to watch real football. I mean, I'd always supported West Ham. My family's a football family, and we used to go to West Ham from a young age. And I always enjoyed that. But I wasn't a football lad. I wasn't playing for a team. Gaming got me into football. I then built a whole career about football. I am obviously very into football now. I run a football team. It's my life. But my interest in like the winning of a football match came from winning a virtual one first. So it doesn't have to be art imitating life. Sometimes it's the other way around.
Yeah, I never heard that before. Like, I've never heard that before of someone games got them into football. Well, it happens. That's a mental one.
You hear stories all the time of kids who like they go to support Arsenal, and you go, "Why do you support Arsenal?" You go, "Because they're alphabetically first on FIFA." And it's just I chose them from FIFA. I mean, there's even stories of there was a rumor. You'll remember this FIFA. I don't know which FIFA. 6-7 years ago, there was like these players like Ibarbo, Dumbia, who were like rapid and very popular on Ultimate Team. And in one transfer window in January, Roma, the Serie A club, signed both of them. And it was like, are you playing FIFA? Like, what are you doing? Are they even good in real life? Everyone knows they're good on FIFA. And the owner said in a press conference, I've signed these guys because I want more people to play with us on FIFA because it will increase our brand. And like, it was almost this crazy strategy. I don't think they did particularly well for the football team in real life. But it got loads of people wanting to use the Roma, or at least in Ultimate Team, having a player that had a Roma badge on his thing. So you're seeing the Roma brands. It's genius in many ways. But yeah, I don't know if that idea, that almost looking down on gaming, still exists in the current generation of parents the way it used to. But literally just this weekend, we got our Wii out, the Wii,
Nintendo Wii.
Not the original Wii, the one after that, not the Switch, but the Wii Plus or whatever with the little thingy. Alex and I hadn't got it out for 10 years, sitting in a box. And my oldest, I don't even know what the catalyst was. It was like a rainy day, we didn't know what to do. And I was like, do you want to play the Wii? And I think you might like Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart maybe. He loved it. He didn't know what he was doing. He was awful. I was like, you've got to move around, lad. You got to hit But he was just loving playing as Sonic or Pikachu, these characters that he knows, Donkey Kong, hitting, button bashing. I was like, there's a start of something here. And I definitely am not going to let him play games. I'm going to let him play all the games he wants.
And I think gaming as well like helps you find yourself as a person. I'm sure there's a load of kids out there that don't know what they sort of enjoy, or don't. You go to school and you feel like a bit of the odd one out, and like you can't socialize like other people do. And then gaming like helps you find yourself and helps you find other people like you. So you have just more belief in yourself as a person.
Yeah.
Me, I know I was really young, but like me a few years ago, without the skills of without having social skills or anything like that, would never ever want a kid, because don't believe in myself as a person to do kid sort of things. But now I've developed skills through all like developed through gaming. Allows me to like believe that you can sort of raise a kid because you've got all the skills along the way from doing it.
If you were at an event now, right? Maybe you're playing, maybe you're working in the production or something, and you see a 16-year-old kid come, burst onto the scene, reminds you just of you, has all the same traits as you, you know, a bit shy, anxious, whatever, completely natural at 16 to be like that. You have a chance to go and talk to him and give him a little bit of advice. What would you say to him?
What would I say to him?
What would you say to him? Because you've been through it. You know, you've been through it. You can understand it. What would you say to yourself if you met 16-year-old Tekkz now in Barcelona? You can see he's a bit nervous. He's about to go into that press conference. What would you say?
I mean, I'm a bit of a bad guy. I wouldn't talk to them. I see them as competition. but
imagine it was your lad. You have a child, and fast forward many years, and he's got into an event.
I just would I would try to pick it up to them and just tell them like, you sort of belong here. Like you found your like avenue. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You found yourself belong here. Just be you, and it will sort of work out, because like when you're in the space, it's other people like you. Like you're there for a reason. Like I was in that press conference room for a reason. So like you don't need to try and fit in with people anymore, because they're all there.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself. And it's so simple, but it's such a sort of big thing now. And even when you enter anything in everyday life, just be yourself, because it helps so much.
No, it's very wise, mate. It's probably wiser than you even realise. And as you get older, I think about it all the time now. I think like, the sort of unravelling of life is just about learning to be comfortable in your own skin. And it's such a shame that so many of us take so long to do it. Some people you meet and they're just naturally like that, and you're almost jealous. You're like, oh, they walk into a room and they are like just 100% in tune with who they're supposed to be and like everyone around them. And you can tell that people talk about like frequencies or whatever, but they vibrate as people. You're like, I want to hang out with this guy or woman. They have good energy and I want to be like that. And if you're not like that, often we kind of cling on to those sorts of people. But that is what life is like. Sometimes people do it at 50. Sometimes they'll do it at 16 in Barcelona, but they find that moment.
And I figured to myself, to help me in like awkward or like social environments, help be myself, if the first minute I see someone, I say something a bit silly and just a bit of a jokey, the stupid thing, it helps me settle down so much, because you've got yourself across, okay, he's a bit weird sort of thing, or like he can be a bit, do you know what I mean? Does that make
of course.
sense? No, like saying something weird at the start, like an icebreaker, like helps so much. Like today I came in, first thing I says, I've just been walking up and down the street.
Like, you had been.
But I had been just to make, do you know what makes sense? Just a bit of a funny sort of thing. And it helps so much.
And you learn those things by doing them, and you have to go through awkward moments. I mean, like I talk about it a lot, but me doing stand-up at a young age was such an important thing for me. Now, I'm not saying everyone should go and do stand-up, because it's really hard and scary. But the fact that I did do it, regardless of the fact that I didn't continue it as a career, probably the single best thing I think I've ever done for myself, because nothing else. Like, I presented the esports stuff that you was playing in. I did the finals for 10 years. I did that. And I can honestly say, you know, whether they were on Sky Sports, BT, Fox, you know, whether it was in front of crowds of thousands of people, whatever, I was never nervous. And it's not because I'm not someone that gets nervous. It's because I was so nervous when I did stand up, to the point where before I'd go on stage, and you would never know this if you watched me on stage. Honestly, I don't think I ever really portrayed it. If I watch my early gigs back now, I can see how nervous I was. But I think because I know how I work, I don't know if everyone else picked up on it. But some people are really nervous on stage. I was never nervous. Once I got on stage and I convinced myself to do it, I was fine. But the bit before, I was literally like dry heaving in my mouth. I was saying to myself, just run. If you run out now, there's a door. If you get out that door, they won't even see you. You'll never see them again. No one will care. You can't go up there. Do not go up there. And the battle for me was that step when you don't want to do it, to get on the stage, and then I'd be fine. But when you've done that, and I use the analogy of ice baths a lot as well, that's doing something that's so uncomfortable, but you know is good for you. When you've done that like repeated times over and over, you build up like a physical armor. So then when someone goes, yo, going up on this stage at, you know, I presented the FIFA World Cup in New York at the Apollo Theatre. You know, it's one of the most iconic venues in the world. Our changing room had been used by Michael Jackson. Like, you know, there's thousands of people there. I wasn't nervous, because I was like, you don't know where I'm from, dog. I have done stand up with people literally telling me to get off stage, like not laughing, deadly silence.
Well, that's the thing. It toughens you up for anything in life. The minute you do stand up, you go and stand on stage in front of people that are expecting you to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Which is the scariest thing. I sit at a dinner table with my family, and if I get nervous for that, they tell a joke. Oh, no. You know what I mean? Like, it scares
It's like bearing your soul.
It's scary, and then something like that will just help you so much for anything social, speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
Ever again.
No,
and I do like that mentality, because I sort of, I'm a bit like you in the aspect of before something, I am so nervous, like so nervous. And a common one, before my driving test, I was just, you're meant to comfort eat after you do something. I was comfort eating before, just eating, like I was eating pizzas, like, my driving test was like 11 a.m. I got up at like 6 a.m. and I was just so I could breathe for that day and just settle down. I was eating in the morning, anything, just to calm myself down. But the minute I got in the car, I was completely fine.
Yeah.
So it's just getting yourself to do it in the first place, which is the tough bit. And I think that's a lot of the time in most scenarios, the minute you commit to it, you're fine with it.
But you got to train that skill, and you do lose it if you don't use it. I firmly believe that. Like, I'm not saying if I had to go, I haven't done stand up in over a decade. If I had to go and do one now, I'd still be nervous. I wouldn't know what I'd say. Sometimes I have dreams about it. You know what I mean? Even though it did give me this armor, and all the stuff I do has benefited from it, whether it's, you know, presenting, YouTube, all that stuff. I'm very, very, very comfortable with that because I did it, right? But I still have, like, in the same way that until a few years ago, I'd have dreams that I had a university exam the next day, and I'd literally wake up like sweating. I haven't revised, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago, mate. Calm down. Not 20, not that old. 15 years ago. But I'd have dreams like, I've got to do a stand-up gig. I haven't prepared. What am I going to say? And I'd be looking in my hands, because I used to write like little bullet points to know what my set was for that day. And I'd look at my hand like, where are my notes? And I'm like, I'm in bed. Calm down. It's almost like PTSD, right? But it's not conscious. Like, in life, I wouldn't be nervous. So, but if I had to do a stand-up gig now without any preparation, I'm sure a lot of those feelings would come back. But I definitely have much more context. And again, to bring it back to what this pod's about, children is great for that. Well, first of all, it gives you a motivator to push through the pain. But second of all, with what I used to tell myself before I did stand-up, I used to say, Spencer, and you've created this world in your head where it matters if they don't think you're funny. That world is not real. They do not give a shit about you. The worst thing that can happen is you have the worst gig in the history of the universe, and they go, that guy's not very funny, and they never think about you again. But in your brain, you think they're going to tell everyone you know, and they're going to talk to you about it every day. It doesn't exist.
I do something when I'm scared as well. I'll sit there, for example, look out the window and look at all the cars driving past, and I'm thinking, he's got his own problems. Yeah. He's got her own problems. And it's like, everyone has their own sort of problems.
Yeah. Of course they do.
And your problem is just like someone else's problem. Like, it's not big. So
these are the things that people used to say, imagine the audience naked. Like, that's what they used to say on like The Simpsons or whatever. You imagine the audience naked, so you basically make them embarrassing for themselves. I used to do this thing where I'd sort of like, I guess we can all do it. It's not cross-eyed, but I'd like blur my eyes on purpose. Like, can you make it so you can't really see what, like, do you know how I'm doing it now. So to you, I've just made you go completely out of focus in my brain, right? So I can't see your details of your face right now. Can you tell I'm doing it or not?
No, no.
So I don't know if everyone could do it or not. But I'd do that. So right now I'm doing it. I can't see any details in this room. And I would do that so I couldn't see their faces anymore. And that would be a big help. But I don't do that anymore, obviously. But that was, you just, like you said about your cracking a joke to feel comfortable, you just learn these little tricks. I used to do that. I invented that little eye blowing thing when I was at school. I originally did it when I was in trouble. I was in trouble and the teacher, and they look in your eye. They look at you when I'm talking to you. I was like, okay, you think I'm looking at you, but I'm not, because I've got made you out of focus. And then I used it in later life. But yeah, I think these things are really important. And to break it back down to the parenting aspect, I think wherever when you have children, it sounds like they're going to be in real good position, because you're going to support them in whatever they want to do and help and just make sure they're happy. But what you have to do, and that's not you, but everyone, I think, including myself, is we have to put our children in some sort of challenging situations. We can't mollycoddle them. We can't let them just coast through life, never having to ever overcome anything, because that is not good parenting. Good parent doesn't mean stitching them up, but good parenting means allowing them to build character. And you do not build character from having it easy.
No, I agree. And I think even as a parent, like not knowing if you want to have a kid or not, I don't think anyone is ever ready to have a kid. Because I'm sure the minute you have a kid, everything goes out the window. Everything you've planned, it will change a little bit. So I think in life, no one will ever be ready, and a kid's not going to go smoothly. Like
0 to 1, no, you're never ready.
It's not possible.
If you think you're ready, and then your life changes.
And then I think with a kid as well, I think the early years are so important, especially when, like, I'm a bit scared from ages from 0 to 2, because you can talk to them, but they don't give anything back. So I don't know too much about that, but Lady always tells me like it's a struggle from your 0 to 2. But then when they get to a certain age, I think maybe like toddler's age, that's when you can really build them into like the person that they are.
My youngest is like 1.5, and he's like come alive now. Like he not talking English, but you can almost have and he's like you can almost have this little conversations with him, like, and he understands everything. I'll pick that up. He'll pick that up, but he'll be like, oh, bro, I'll be like, it sounds ridiculous.
I couldn't talk until I was 7 years old.
Really?
I went to like a disabled school,
right?
Until halfway through year 2, because I couldn't talk. I couldn't say sentences properly.
Like a speech impediment.
Yeah, like a really bad one. So like not even my own dad would understand me. Only my mum would be able to make out what I was saying. So whenever I was on the phone to someone, she would I'd be like, blah, 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 and she would like repeat what I said. She'd be like, yeah, so he went to the shop today, because I'll be like, I went to the job. Do you know what I mean? So
what was it that helped you come out of that? Was it some sort of coaching? Like,
yeah, so my mum fought to get me into like a disabled school where there was like, they helped me talk, and I had like coaching, speech lessons, and then when I got to like halfway through year 2, I was able to talk. But
we had a family friend that had a similar situation. Around 7, they started talking. Do you think that fed into your personality type? Because I'm just joining the dots here. I might be wrong, but you're talking about, as a teenager, not having mates, but not having loads of best mates, maybe been a bit anxious. Do you think you were aware that maybe you developed later in the speech element, and as a result, you felt like do you know what I mean? Was it a confidence thing? Do you think it had an impact?
Maybe. I think it's called dyspraxia. I'm not too clued up on it.
Dyspraxia is also, I think, like spatial awareness as well, right?
There's a lot of different elements to dyspraxia. I'm not too clued up on it, but it was something to do with like dyspraxia. So even learning at school and like listening to someone, when someone asks me a question, I only hear the last part of the question. For example, or even tells me something, I only hear the last part of what they tell me. So
if I've got bad news to give you, give it at the start, and then forget about it.
Like, so like if you ask me a question, which is like 30 seconds long, I only hear the last part. So in my head the whole time, I'm trying to fight back to what you said at the start.
Yeah.
And even, I was driving the other day, and I don't know where I'm going. So Lydia's telling me which way to sort of go. And we're coming up to a roundabout, and she says, go right. I almost go right at the roundabout and forget to go around it, because all I've heard is go right sort of thing. And she starts screaming. So even little things like that.
Because dyspraxia is not, I know someone with dyspraxia, not a speech thing, but they struggle to drive. And driving's a big problem.
And what 100% has affected me is, I think within dyspraxia, I can only talk about things I'm interested in. Right. So if someone is trying to small talk me, like when I was younger, I couldn't care. I couldn't focus. So like if I was sat at a table my nan's asking me about what I had for dinner yesterday. I can't talk. I can't physically have a conversation with you. I'll just be looking at the sky. So just little things where like, okay, someone at school tries to talk to me about something I can't talk about. I can't have a conversation.
No,
and
of course
it's not by choice.
No, of course.
So I could only talk about football at school.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I was interested in growing up was football.
And that is going to have an impact on the social relationships you can build, because you're obviously not engaging with a lot of conversation. You're not getting, so people aren't able to understand you, and you know, all these things have impact. I'm a big believer in, like, whenever someone has something like that, or any kind of, you know, what some would say is a challenge. I'm a big believer in, like, give and take. I'm a big believer in it. Okay, so you maybe not got something here, but that's going to help you somewhere else. You know what I mean? People talk about it a lot with the spectrum of autism as well. And obviously there's really challenging elements of the one end of the spectrum, but equally, like, you know, some great footballers who are autistic, and they seem to have developed a way of understanding football to a higher level. We've had players at hashtag United. I think I can talk about it because he spoke about it publicly. Greg Halford, who had a great career, played in the Premier League, spent a couple of years with us, and he would talk to me about the way it impacted him socially, his autism. He didn't find out he had until he was a grown man, but he would talk about the way he understood football. It was just a level beyond the way I comprehend it. And he would go to bed at night and he would think about, like, the way a football moves and where he can put the ball and how it would affect. And the way he played, you saw that. And he was actually a player who played every single position on the pitch professionally. You know, he won the championship Cardiff as a striker. He spent his whole career as a right winger, finished as a centre back, even played in goal. You can't do that at the highest level without a ridiculous understanding of the technical aspects of the game. So I wonder if your dyspraxia or any of those early instances fed into your abilities.
100%. Like, it's a bit cringe, but like, autism is sort of like a superpower in an aspect of what you do. You're obsessive with it. It takes up all your time, or takes up all your thoughts.
Yeah.
For example, with my FIFA, like, all my time went into that. Even American football, Madden, the video game. I sat there, played Madden. I got top 100 in the world after playing for 2 weeks because I spent every hour of the next 2 weeks just focusing on that. And even things like fantasy football. I spend all my time watching videos, like watching games, looking at stats of fantasy football, like NFL and like soccer. Obsessed with it. So I think even I've got a friend who is in a social scenario, he will not say a word. But then, because we're into the same things, when it's just me and him, he doesn't shut up. He just carries on talking and talking. He feels safe, and like, that's his sort of thing, and that's his element. So I think autism, okay, it might take away from some things, but in the things you like, you're gonna be
I agree.
really good at it.
No, I agree. Of course, there's obviously a whole spectrum of autism, and some people really struggle, but equally there's such talented people out there as a result of these intricacies in their personality. I've loved talking to you today, Tekkz. I've really, really enjoyed it. I could easily talk to you for many more hours. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of some of the amazing aspects of your career. I'd love to have you back on if and when you do end up building that family, and we can see if your preconceptions of fatherhood were what they delivered. But obviously I wish you and Lydia the best with it. I want to end on a note on your mum, because I do think that it's such a big part of your story. And some of the stuff we were just talking about there, you know, I've talked a lot. They don't like it when I go into my ideas on homeschool and alternative schooling, so I'm not going to get into it now. But I'm a big believer in, we have a responsibility as adults to put the next generation in the right environments to shine. You know, and school isn't a catch-all. School can be great, unbelievable for some kids, but some do not shine there, and they need a different environment. You needed a different environment at a younger age to come out of your talking issues, and then you need a different environment to fulfill what was clearly your, for want of a better word, destiny in finding that. You wouldn't have found it about your mum necessarily. And that's what proper parenting is, in my opinion. So I want to give massive kudos to your mum, who I do know and I've always enjoyed speaking to. Is there any one thing you can think, or maybe multiple things that you can think your mum or your dad have said to you, like advice that you will pass on? Or maybe it's not words, but it's you've seen them do and you've gone, that's a trait I like about my parents. I want to have that trait and I want to give it to my kids.
Not any advice in particular, but just to take a risk. Like, my mum took a massive, massive risk in moving house to let me try and achieve my sort of passion. She like pushed. I remember like me going to like the disabled school. It was like a risk to try and get me there, because I can't remember, she had to go through some like procedure, and like she had to pay money or something that she didn't have at the time to try and get me to talk properly, because it was never a guarantee that I would be able to talk properly.
Yeah.
So just take a risk and go with it, and don't be scared about the consequence, because you can always deal with a consequence, like, but you'll never. Don't live with regrets, basically.
YOLO.
Like, literally, YOLO, YOLO, there you go. Don't live with regrets.
Yeah, no, I think it's great advice. Take the risks, back yourself, and you never know what can happen. You could be the next Tekkz. Tekkz, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're a legend, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Internet Dads.